Let's bring back in Jeff, as well as our good friend and guest, David Wright, whose career over the last 30 plus years that spanned as a Frank Sinatra impersonator. David, take it away.
I did it my way.
All right. How many financial advisors do you know would have the courage to get on national television and sing like that? I know I wouldn't, and I know you wouldn't either, Jeff, right?
No, I couldn't crack a note like that. He sounds good.
Hey,
He is
thanks
not
a lot.
a Frank Sinatra impersonator, although it might have seemed that way. Dave Wright, however, is the owner of Wright Financial Group, a retirement income store located in Toledo, Ohio. Dave, in all seriousness, thanks so much for being back on the show with us.
I appreciate it, guys. Good to see you again.
So how are your clients handling this whole craziness we've had since March with the COVID-19 crisis and market fluctuations? Talk to us about that.
Hey, they've been handling it pretty well. The whole premise behind how we invest for clients is income. We invest by contract. So I'm not going to lie to you, back in February and March, we had some concerned people call into the office, but just a few. Like Sinatra, regrets, I've had a few, but then again, too few to mention. But a few people did call back in and want to know what's going on with their portfolios, because we did see a drop in some of the BDCs and some of the other stuff in there. But what didn't stop was the income. And since these portfolios are there for income, that's why they purchased them in the first place, they're cool with it.
So yeah, Dave, how's your back doing? Because mine kind of hurts from being whiplash this year, back and forth in the markets and the economy and the political cycle and the news media. I mean, we're probably both going to be really glad that 2020 is going to be over. So tell us about what your outlook is for 21. What are your clients' concerns? What do you want to do differently in 21? Is there anything you want to add in your mix of advising clients going forward from this point?
Yeah, there is. I'll say this to you because, clients peek at what's going on in the S&P and the NASDAQ. They know the markets are going up. Obviously, I think the Feds are creating an asset bubble, but it's obvious the Feds are in with the market. So I think some of the things that we're going to implement next year with some of our clientele early in the year will be offering to them different ways to create income with an eyeball on perhaps some growth. And that being through dividend paying value stocks that may be now coming back into favor, that were out of favor, that pay decent dividends.
Yeah, I mean, we all thought that, the three of us I know kind of thought for a while there was going to be another decent correction coming up later this year. And it seems like between interest rates near zero, as you mentioned, the vaccine, it seems like now the worst is over. And as John Nigerian said just a couple weeks ago in the show, we're probably going to get a correction at some point in the first half of 2021. But frankly, that correction wouldn't be as big as we had previously thought, and it might just end up being a great buying opportunity for a lot of those clients that you described a moment ago. So we take a quick commercial break. You stay with us. We have much more coming up right here from David Wright. We'll be right back. Welcome back to The Income Generation. I'm David Scranton. I'm here with Jeff Small and David Wright, owner of Wright Financial Group, a retirement income store in Toledo, Ohio. So David, all right, you're talking about, in fact, we just had a guest last week, David Stearns, that kind of said the same thing, that he's looking to be going a little bit more growth oriented to take advantage of it. Because you're right, people do look at the S&P 500, they look at the Dow and the record highs being set, but with a primary focus on income and dividends. And I assume that's what you're essentially describing also, correct?
It is. I mean, people want to have the guarantee and the assurances that their portfolio has a purpose. That purpose is to provide them a steady income stream, no matter what the markets are doing. Obviously, when you invest for value, you got to be a little bit careful of what's happening in the macro market, but income is of all importance. Yeah.
Investing for value in the stock market is, we said on previous shows, is much harder than investing for growth or momentum.
It is.
Which most people,
and that's where you need to have expert advice, people that understand that just picking a cheap stock that pays nice dividends isn't necessarily good value picking. It takes expertise to make sure you're not getting stuck in a value stock trap. And that's what we do, is make sure that that doesn't happen.
And Jeff, that's why you and I call David Wright before we make any recommendations, right?
Well, we really do. Without Dave, we'd be probably broke, Dave.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate the plug.
No, seriously.
No worries there.
Jeff, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So no worries there, David. So anyway, when we look at what's going on presently, though, there's going to be some rotational shifts in the market as the vaccine comes out. And, today I got an email from my mom's assisted living facility that she's going to get the shot this week, which is pretty cool. So they are accelerating this vaccine distribution at a high level. But the faster it gets out there, the faster it can get back to normal. And the more we're going to see a rotation into some of those value stocks that have been left behind in the recovery that we've had this year. And so it would be kind of cool for our customers if we could take some of their money and place it in that environment if that was money they did not need for income. And so there's got to be a balance there, right, between income and growth?
Absolutely, Jeff, and I'm glad you brought up that point. There's a lot of clients that I have that have their income set aside with the portfolios we have in place now in corporate bonds, preferreds, et cetera. But that portion of their portfolio that isn't necessarily tied to growth for income can be invested in these other things. I'm not so sure that the rollout of the vaccine necessarily means an upward trending market right away. I kind of create an opinion that you had about a week ago, Jeff, where you said that there's more of a disparity between the haves and the have-nots with what's been going on in the marketplace for the past several years. So I see that there's some temporary growth available in the marketplace, which we should be aware of, but also kind of agree with what John said last week, John Najarian, about maybe a temporary pullback in the first quarter. But that's why value selecting is so important, to make sure that you're not making any mistakes and picking a dog when you should be picking something or sticking strictly with income investments.
Dave, that emphasizes the point on why income is so important, because if there is volatility in the market, we know that income is level. And that brings peace of mind, stability, and additional growth potential if income prices drop and you reinvest. And so what do you find clients feel when they realize that? What is the experience on their face? What do they look like when they first realize, wow, I never thought about income like that, but it really does more than growth can, correct?
It does, Jeff. That's an awesome point. You know what? My orientation before I was a growth guy for many years. Yes, that's right, I was that the balance was always the most important focus. And people still have to be reminded when they come in for reviews, it's not so much the balance as it is the income. When they realize they can reinvest the income that they're not using and purchase it at a cheaper price, buying more units, more income units, and increasing their income, it's like light bulbs go off in their head, and they're absolutely thrilled by it. And they also feel like they've gotten in. They understand income even on a more deeper level.
Yeah, and that's true, Dave, because if you gave them a choice in retirement about would they rather have their account value grow or would they rather have their income at a higher level, what do you think they're going to say every time they're going to pick what?
They're going to pick income over asset level. A balance means nothing if it can't produce income. And you know what? In my meetings today, if I ask clients if they really think that the market's not going to have a major correction of at least 5 to 7 years sometime in the next 20 years, none of them say, no, it's going to keep going up. Of course, there's going to be a correction somewhere.
And now once they find out that any pullback in values actually helps their income grow faster, that's a win-win. So Dave, thanks so much.
Absolutely.
Great words of wisdom as usual. You stay with us.
Thank
We have
you.
more coming up in a moment right here on the Income Generation. We'll be right back.